Hot Yoga Vinyasa, or the Barkan Method 5 vinyasas. That's what we're going to be featuring today at our studio, but let's talk about it, a little bit about it first. In the hot yoga world, more specifically the Bikram world, his first class, his 26 and 2 class, is more featuring on balancing poses. When I started doing yoga conferences, yoga journal conferences, back in 2001, 2002, I was introduced to the vinyasa world. And then I realized that Bikram starts his advanced class in a very vinyasa way. They just don't use the word. So I was very turned on to the whole vinyasa concept. The upward dog, downward dog were different poses because that really came from the south of India, but that's what they used to segue into the next flow. But that's when the light bulb went off. I said, okay, from downward dog, let's step in to a posture that we do from our lineage. And that's how it all started, and that's how it all began. So no more talking. Let's head over to the studio and get started. So we start in our standing position, Samasthitihi. Lift your toes, spread them wide, place them onto the ground. The 4 corners evenly distribute. Hands to your heart center. We're going to set a personal intention. Some of you want to bring fresh into your practice today. We start with the first vinyasa, SURYA NAMASKAR, salute to the sun. Arms overhead, create some length between the rib cage and the hips. Swan dive forward, bend your knees as much as you need to touch the floor. And let's just soften here first. Relax the shoulders, face muscles, the jaw. Especially the shoulders. Shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Feel that stretch in the hamstring. And we're going to start out slow motion. Right leg floats to the back of the mat, runner's lunge. Let's get the left knee over the ankle. We're going to protect the joints. Pull the left hip back to square the hips. Roll your shoulders down and back to square the shoulders. Hamstring to the ceiling. Left leg back into a high plank push-up position. If you can't do a full push-up, you can drop to your knees like Janice, or you can stay upright like Danielle. Arms into the side body. Hold the core. We're going to lower down halfway. CHATURANGA, DANDASANA. Back up. We do it twice. Down again. CHATURANGA into upward facing dog. Hands real close to the body. Shoulders down and back. Chest opens. Feet are flat. Legs about hip width. You can press into the floor with your hands and feet. Roll on the toes back, downward facing dog. Let's pedal it out. Left and right, back and forth. Head side to side. And then we're going to settle into an up or down V. First priority is to get the shoulders to come back away from your ears. You're going to protect your neck that way. And soft elbows. Don't lock out those arms. Lift the rib cage, turn the tailbone under, scoop it. Inhale, we're going to float the right leg through. Runner's lunge, other side. So pull the right hip back on this side. That hip has a tendency to come forward. Shoulders down and back. Hamstring, heel to the ceiling, and breathe into this stretch. In front of the left hip flexor. Left leg up, Uttanasana. Round up heart center. Let's do our first back bend, half moon. Lift up and back. Find a spot behind you. And come up. Exhale, down we go. For the other side, left leg back, runner's lunge. Pulling the right hip back. Make sure that knee is stacked over the ankle. You don't want the knee to go forward over the toes or back by the heel either. Hold that position. Back to a high plank. Hold the core. We call in yoga the Mula Uddiyana Bandhas, the lower locks engaged. Down, Chaturanga Dandasana, up. Double Danda, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Adha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Let's hang out here for a few breaths. Take a peek. See that the index finger's forward, the middle finger's going to turn out to the corners of the mat. And that turns in the elbows. It's a better position for your middle back. It turns in the elbows, gets the pressure off the neck. Let's swing that left leg through to runner's lunge. Pulling the left hip back, roll your shoulders down and back, hamstring heel to the ceiling. And for all my yoga teachers, making sure you hold this side the same amount of time as the other side. Finding symmetry in our position and our timing as you exhale. Right leg up. Round up heart center. Arms overhead. And exhale, swan dive forward for our second vinyasa we call DEVAS, NAMASKAR. Salute to the god and goddesses. Vishnu Ghosh would call this VIRASANA. So here we're going to start differently. We're going to lengthen and look up, offer the heart. And a half lift, exhale, fold back. Lengthen, look up. From a look up position, you can step back like Janice, or you can jump back like Danielle to lower plank back up. Double danda, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So we start the second vinyasa, DEVAS Namaskar, with a crescent lunge, which means you're going to stay on the toes of your left foot, swing your right leg through to crescent pose. Hands on the hips, peel your stomach off the thigh, bring your arms overhead, drop the shoulders down, lower down, try to get that right thigh parallel to the floor as much as you can. Straighten that back leg as much as possible, hold here. Now we're going to rotate to the back of the room and do the left side facing the back of the room, crescent. Making sure to pull the left hip back, that left thigh is parallel, straighten that back leg as much as you can, hold here. Stay facing the back of the room, drop your right knee down and forward a little bit. See how they went forward, so the right knee's underneath the hip, the left knee's on top of the ankle, 2 90-degree angles, back foot's flat. Interlace the fingers, chin to the chest, head to knee. Inhale up, exhale into a kneeling salute as you push into your right shin, scoop the tailbone, lift the chest and heart, arms are straight, change, come on up. Rotate to the front. Drop the left knee down. Back foot's flat, head to knee, abdominals are in. Activate the throat lock. Inhale up. Now we're released from the throat lock into a back bend kneeling salute. That's it, arms are straight. See if you can trace a line on the ceiling behind you, on the wall behind you. Change, come on back to downward dog. Now we're going to do the second half, the left side first. Left leg swings through to the front of the mat. Hands on the hips, arms overhead. So same thing. Danielle's going to do the same thing as before. Just arms down, facing forward. Janice is going to take the more advanced. If your thighs parallel, extend your chest forward and then go into a crescent back bend. Making sure the back leg is straight. Otherwise, stay facing forward like Danielle and working to get the thigh parallel. Change, rotate to the back. Once again, you're not in warrior one, you're on the toes of your back foot. Stay facing the back wall like Danielle, or you can take the crescent back bend. If your thighs parallel to the floor, getting nice and low and straightening that leg as much as possible. Change, left knee comes down and forward a little bit. Kneeling salute, head to knee, palms together. Inhale up, exhale, back bend, kneeling salute. Open the chest, reach back, arms are straight, change, come on up, rotate to the front. Right knee down. Back foot's flat, untuck, head to knee, chin to the chest, Chandara. Inhale up, exhale, back bend, kneeling salute. Open the heart, reaching back. Find a spot on the ceiling, then the wall. Change. Come on back to downward facing dog. You could jump through like Danielle, or you can walk through like Janice to the front of the mat. Round up heart center. Hold. Arms overhead. And swan dive to our third vinyasa, warrior series. Roll your shoulders, lengthen, look up. Exhale, fold. Lengthen, look up from the look up position. You can step or walk back like Janice, or step back like Danielle to low plank and up. Double dandasana, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Good, get those shoulders back. Get tired especially, don't lock out those arms. So we begin with warrior two, Virabhadrasana. The right leg swings through 4 feet. Windmill your arms into warrior two. Looking to the front part of your mat, trying to get that right thigh parallel. The weight's on the outside of your edge of your left foot and the big toe mound of your right foot. Get nice and low and your lunge. Now we're going to look to the left to set your chin, tilt to triangle, touch the top of the foot like Danielle, or you can do forearm on the thigh like Janice as a modification, and work on lowering the left hip down, lifting the chest up. We do a right angle triangle in our lineage. Hips forward, the upper body's twisting back. Now bring your left hand down to the front of the mat, step back to downward facing dog. Let's do the left side, warrior two. Left leg swings through, windmill your arms, warrior two. It's like you're pulling the mat apart with your feet. So same thing, big toe mound, left foot, outside knife edge, right foot. You're gonna push into that foot. Look to the right, set your chin, tilt, TRIKONASANA, three angle or triangle pose. We want a triangular space, top of the thigh and underneath the arm. See Danielle's position. Or a outside triangle. That means the right arm down the left arm is the vertical line, left foot to the right foot's the horizontal line, right foot up the leg to the shoulder. That diagonal line is the key line. Right hand down, downward dog. Preparing for revolving triangle, we do a one-legged ikapada downward dog. So right leg comes back and up. We're going to square the hips, flex the foot, hold here. Now don't move the shoulder, turn out the hip, point the toe. Turn it back to square, flex the foot, swing the foot through under the heart, hands on the hips. Come on up. With the right leg out, let's bring the left arm up, placing your hand onto your shin as you come down with the flat back. Block if you have it to the left of the foot, or you can go to the floor just to the left of the foot, stay on the fingertips. Try to bring your hand closer to the foot. Pull your right hip back. Let's get the weight on the outside edge of your left foot and the big toe mound of the right foot, just like the last pose. Pulling the right hip back, scoop and lengthen out to the front of the mat. Now we're going to rotate to the right, lower, middle, upper back, shoulder. If the shoulders are not stacked, you can keep your hand on the hip like Janice. If you can stack the shoulder, the arm comes up like Danielle. PARIVRTTA, TRIKONASANA, right hand down, downward dog. Left leg backing up into a one-legged downward facing dog. Square the hips, flex the foot. Turn out the hip, point the toe, but don't let the shoulder turn. Back to square, flex the foot and swing the left foot under the heart. Hands on the hips, come on up. Turn your back foot to 45 degrees. Both legs are straight. On this side, the right arm comes up. Flat back down. Shin block, foot or floor if you're using a block just to the right of the foot. Pull back on the left hip and rotate to the left as you push into your back foot. You're going to make sure you're conscious of the foundation. So we're twisting lower, middle, upper back, shoulder. And if the shoulder's stacked, the arms come up. Spread the fingers wide to the left side of the mat. Pull the left hip back and push into your back foot. Make that a constant reminder. Left hand down, downward dog. Stepper jumping through. Round up heart center and hold. And arms overhead. Swan dive to a forward bend. For the fourth vinyasa, we're going to slow down the pace and energy a little bit. Let's separate our feet apart, hip width distance. 15 centimeters, 6 inches. And then slide the hands underneath the middle of the feet. Line the toes all the way to the wrist crease. Now you can bend your knees as much as you need to, like Janice is showing you as a modification. It's more important to get the hands all the way underneath. Eventually start to straighten those legs out. If the knees are bending, you're just thinking about where's your next inch, where's your next centimeter. If the legs are straight, you can start working your third eye to the shins as the elbows come out. Weight forward. And then change. Bring your hands out to the side, lengthen and look up. Exhale, fold. Lengthen, look up. It's from the look up position. Very important. Walk back like Janice, or you can jump back to low plank like Danielle. Back up. Double dandasana, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So the next pose is a unique posture from our lineage in Calcutta in Bengal. We call it standing separate leg head to knee. The right leg swings through under the heart. Palms come together in front of the foot, and you're going to round up. to reset your position to point A. Bring your chin to the chest, abdominals in, curl down, touch your head to the knee. Now you can bend the knee as much as you need to, like Janice is showing you, and separate your hands. Or you can touch the forehead right to the knee and curl the spine like Danielle. If the leg is bending, separate your hands, you can push. See how Janice is pushing against the floor with her hands. But if the leg is straight, bring your palms together like Danielle and see if you can straighten those arms as much as possible. Straighten those arms and curl. Inhale, round up. Rotate to the back. Lifting from the lower locks we call the Mula Uddiyana Bandhas, and now we add the third lock, the Jalandhara Bandha, chin to the chest, curl down. We call that Mahabandha when all three are engaged, or the Great Bandha, or Bandha Trine. So once again, you can separate your hands if the knee's bending. You can palms together if the leg is straight. Curl, look up more towards your stomach. Draw your left hip back. Soften your hips and pull the hip back as you push into your back foot. Inhale, come up. We're going to stay facing the back of the room. We're going to break tradition and do the left side first. So set your hands behind your back and reverse Namaskar like Janice, or to modify, you can hold your elbows like Danielle. You're going to lift your chest, scoop the tailbone, and down we go. Parivrittanasana, or side forward bend. And it's important to keep the back and neck vertebra in line. So the back is straight here. We're not rounding like we did in the last pose. It's a little different energy. Different stretch for the hamstring. Inhale, come up. Rotate to the front. Lift the chest. Scoop the tailbone. Down we go. Push off the back foot as we go. Try to get the stomach to line up over the thigh. That's how you're going to get a direct stretch in the hamstring. Now place your hands at the mat, stay in a forward bend, step your left foot to your right, and we're going to go hands to feet from the back, the more traditional way of doing hands to feet pose from our lineage. So the fingers come underneath the heels, the arms come around the backs of the calf muscles. Stomach on the thighs, chest to the knees, face into the shins. Slowly begin to straighten your legs 1 centimeter at a time. If the knees are bending, keep the fingers underneath. You can bend your knees a little bit, Danielle. And you can press your face into your shins. If your legs are straight, you're cupping the heels from the back like Janice. That's more advanced grip. Shoulders to the ceiling, head to the feet. Vishnu Ghosh would call this pose head to feet pose. Now we're going to come up, palms together, arms straight out in front of you. Arms down by your side. Hold. And the fifth and final vinyasa. We're going to do the second set version for all the Barkan people who know the flow. Arms overhead, create some length. Swan dive forward. Lengthen, look up, offer the heart. Exhale, fold. Lengthen, look up from the look up position, step or jump to low plank and up. Double chaturanga, upward facing dog. Drop your knees to the mat, press back to peaceful warrior. Take a moment to feel the energy, not just to catch our breath, but to intuit an energy rush. As we lower the hips down, the energy shoots up the spine to empower us. Feel yourself being empowered in this moment. As we bring us to the fifth and final vinyasa, come to tabletop. Set your hands for downward dog. Back downward dog. We begin with the one-legged, right leg back and up, square the hips, flex the foot, turn out the hip, point the toe, bend the knee, look over the left shoulder, and slowly, carefully flip it over into a one-arm wheel. Lift the chest, lift the hips, keep the feet hip-width apart. Back to counter pose, weight on the right hand, left arm up, right leg through. You can keep the foot on the ground like Danielle, or you can grab the foot into an optional compass like Janice. From compass optional split, Hanumanasana, or stay in counter. Back to one-legged. Bring your nose to the knee, Janunasasana. Back up. Now you can drop your left knee to the mat like Janice to modify. Come forward in a one-legged plank. We're going to go down and up after I say ready. And we're all going to say Trianga together, nice and loud. Ready? Trianga. Back up, down again into a one-legged upward-facing dog. Don't let the right leg touch. Back one-legged downward-facing dog. 4 legs. Last side, left leg up. Turn it out. Bend the knee. Flip the dog. Ekahasta Chakrasana. 1 arm wheel. Lift the hips. Back to counterweight in the left hand, right arm up, left leg through. You can keep the foot on the ground, or you can do optional compass. From compass, optional split. Back up to one-legged. Nose to the knee. Back up. Modify if you need by dropping the right knee down. Forward one-legged plank. Ready. Trianga. Down again. Ekapada Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Back. Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. 4 legs. Step or jump it through. Round up heart center. And hold. And we finish in child pose. Arms overhead. Swan dive forward. Just walk back to downward dog. Get a little extra stretch. From downward dog, bend your knees. Sit back into child pose, balasana. As we lower the hips, the head. Find our energy. Find our breath. And once again, intuit that energy rush. As we awaken the pranic energy up the spine, eventually the Kundalini Shakti. We find balance in the body, quiet the mind, nourish the soul. Namaste. That's our episode for today. Those are the famous 5 Barkan Vinyasas. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, smash the like button, share it with your friends. It really helps out the channel. And I thank you for joining us, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.